So, in a departure from the way these podcasts usually start, let me start by saying this. If you really want to support what I'm doing here at the podcast, just search up Ask Your Oldhead wherever you listen to podcasts. Also search Justice Rajee, that's Justicee Rajee. You know what I'm saying, on the various social media platforms. You know what I mean? And if you find me, man, drop a say something, Pete, say something kind, or add on about something you heard on the show, or whatever the case may be. But, the rate, subscribe, all of that is still in full of Fizneck, you know what I'm saying, as we close 2021. So, thank you for listening, and let's get into this what's about to happen. Peace. So, as I sit here at the close of 2021, close of the year, I was thinking of what was the right way to wrap up a year of the podcast, so to speak, and the last thing that'll be released, on this calendar year. And something that's been on my head and in my mind on really throughout this year is I wanted to really speak on it and point forward to sort of some of the things I want to do in this space going forward. Be a little bit more, share a little bit more introspection, a little bit more of the inside world, but also some of the things that I think are really important to the self-development, to like how one carries himself, particularly as men. But I think, that stretches to, whomever can take something from it. And so something that really framed this year for me in a personal way is grief. So right at the close of last year, my grandfather and my uncle both passed within the last 30 days of 2020. And one was fully unexpected in that my uncle, he had some health issues, various things, but no one expected him to return, of a heart attack. And my grandfather, who was 96 at the time of his passing, it was not unreasonable expectation coming into the year, and really just circling back to, the last time I sat with him in person that year, which was early, right before we started shutting down and everything, when I had the good fortune with a work trip, to be able to build in some time to stay on that side of the country and, go visit, check on my mom, check on my brother, check on my nephew. And as I always did, which was a foundation part of my life, really even before I moved all the way to Portland, a feature of my own value system was whenever I went home, whenever I was in range, New Jersey, I went and checked in with my grandfather, right? Now, some context, to understand. One, different people have relationships with, elders in their life, right? And I think it's a really important feature and dynamic one should to make some intentional space around in their own arc and growth of self-development is, who are the people that are touchstones that you want to, even if you don't fully have a fully conceived vision of why they're important or what their value is, that you have an understanding of some way that you intentionally engage with them to demonstrate their value to you. And for me, back to when I was, a much younger man in the 90s, when I would come home from Pittsburgh or we was passing through, I would stop, within 24 hours, I'd go see my grandfather, right? Didn't necessarily, we didn't have no agenda. Me and him never exchanged no requirement that I do that. But he was important to me. And he was in many ways, in terms of example of how to be a man and what kind of man to be, he's, a lot of the experiential roadmap that I tracked myself on, and meaning in a way that he cared for us as a family, the way he made his home accessible to us as a place to gather. Now you couldn't just stay though forever and shit. Like you know, he let you know and was like, you know what I'm saying, as we say, what you about to get into. He would just sort of give you the, you know, kind of let you know, you know, you've been visiting long enough. You could bounce. Not me so much. He used to let me stay pretty long, actually. You know, as my good brother Majestic can attest and can give testimony to. You know, it was a couple times he rode with me when he would come over my side of the water, of the river, so to speak. And, you know, at least more than once, stopping by to check on my grandfather passing out on the couch, taking a nap, you know what I mean? Because it was just that kind of place and that kind of energy, you know what I mean? And he's always was supportive of me. You know, my earliest memories with my grandfather are of, you know, him more or less backing my play, you know what I'm saying? Letting me know he saw my intelligence or saw something in me. Now, something else that you should understand that's important about that relationship between me and my grandfather was my father passed of a heart attack very young, you know, for what, at least, I mean, I guess now we may not say that, but he was 41, young in my life. And, you know, a whole lot of my other traits and behaviors are definitely tracked to being the son of William Ken Nielsen. But the other aspect of that, you know, in terms of balance is, you know, my grandfather, Lindsay Page. And so when I sat with him in February of 2020, you know, it was just one of those things where you go, and if any of you that have an elder parent, you know, or family member that you're highly connected with and engaged with, and you've been with them, right? Like you know, most of us when we're kids, most of us grow up, our grandparents are older, these people, like from the day we meet them, you know what I mean? They're in their 40s or 50s, mostly, you know, these certain generations. I know some things are different, right? You know, but they're, you know, leads up there in age. And then when you get to a place that is very concerned about, like, you know, how they're doing, you see, like, you know, 60s are a lot different than 70s. 70s are a lot different than 80s. And 80s, you know, 90s is a whole nother bag, right? So, you know, when I last spent time with him and got to see him and sat in the living room and, you know, listened to what was happening and got to talk to him a bit, he was just, you know, he looked different. And so I was concerned. I mean, actually, in many ways, I think I might have recorded something around that time on the podcast, I might have stated just a more rebound malaise kind of feeling when I came home from that trip. Usually when I go home and see the fam, like, it's like, oh, you know, it's whatever, but I'm happy that I got to spend some time with my moms and my brother and my nephew and see my grandfather do some New Jersey stuff. But I was not in a good mood when I came back because I felt it. So in any event, fast forward, you know, a month later we get the pandemic starts, you know what I'm saying? You know, so, you know, I'm not alone in understanding and experience grief in this last year. And I think it's really important as in your own development to have a sense of, like, yo, what things do I do? What things show up? Because when people are grieving, you know, you don't really know how it shows up, man. You know, you might think, oh, they just be crying, or they're going to be sad. You know, they're going to have like a down face. But, like, people do stuff, man. People start acting out. People start asking for things. And then the very real thing, you got to deal with the matters of the estate, you know what I mean, or whatever that may be, that the person that you've lost has, you know, left behind, you know, to clean up the affairs of their life. So if that's, you know, if it's fortunate to have like a home or property of some value or whatever have you, you got to deal with that. You got to deal with the personal effects and heirlooms. You know what I'm saying? So in my grandfather's case, you know what I'm saying, he's the one that got the mad pictures, you know what I'm saying, of everybody. So, you know, I've started the process in the last year of going home and scanning some pictures, but I haven't done the real full sit down and, record and document things, so that I make sure I have the names, the images of my people, of my folks. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, that grief, just as an understanding to share with you something so that you could, take it through your mind, and hopefully that this would be a valuable piece of sharing that I would do, on this point in the year, this point in time. Just so you understand what I mean by, like, you may not really be tracking how grief is showing up for you. So about a couple weeks after I got back from my grandfather's funeral in January, it was more than a couple weeks. It may have been a whole month. But I'm in the car, right? I'm just driving, listening to music, doing, groceries, errands. And we was actually about to go into just a parent support kind of meeting thing that we had started organizing here in the community. And I'm driving, I'm listening, Kanye West's Roses comes on, right? Song, which is a song in many ways about like grief and family and care, and there's a line in there, you know what I'm saying? Because, that song, if you don't know, is about him and his family going to support their grandmother who's in a medical, situation, and them coming and everybody coming and being there, which I think a lot of folks could connect with, right? Like, you get a family member in the hospital or something, depending on how your family dynamics, right? And how many of your family there are. I come from a sort of, in many ways, a kind of a smaller family. So I don't got no whole lot of people that's going to, depending on who the person that's not doing well or whatever, that can really show up or will show up, because there just ain't that many of us. In any event, so the line that, I'm feeling like I'm just having a regular day, no big shakes, but he get to the line where he goes, my grandfather, hold us, he's strong. And I just started tearing. You know what I'm saying? Like, like that statement, it immediately invoked the sense of who my grandfather was to me. You know what I'm saying? That, resolute, on the spot, always there, like someone who I saw, not as invincible and infallible, by no means, but strong. That he hold us together, in his way. And, I ain't try to fight it. I had to own it in a minute. I was like, nigga, I'm out here crying. I'm just trying to pick up some eggs and some vegetables. You know what I'm saying? I'm in the parking lot. You know what I'm saying? We've been in, even right now, actually, I had to stop. The song invokes that moment, invokes that memory, that sense, that bundle of connections within my mind, you know what I'm saying, and within my body, right? Because you always got to remember the mind and the body are together. Like, we talk about the separate, but we are one thing, right? So as a human being, you are all of the parts of you all the time. You may engage in to understand those parts by separating them, right? So you might work on your physical fitness. There's people that I'm working on my mental fitness. I'm playing chess, you know what I'm saying, or something, or, I'm being facetious, but, you know what I'm saying? Like, the reality of what you do when you're experiencing something, it is a body reaction, right? So that's why you see, you go to somebody's service and you have somebody auntie or the uncle or somebody fall out. You know what I'm saying? When they get to the casket and when you're like, damn, like, why are they falling out? And, sometimes we might be like, she being dramatic, he doing extra, but that might be the real, for real feeling that person is happening, right? That might be the real expression of what they're trying to deal with, right? What their mind and body, what their person is, their whole being is trying to make sense of and accept, move forward with what have you, right? And then in this year where so many people have lost folks, right? I ain't even get to my uncle right now. Now, me and my uncle's dynamic wasn't the same as my grandfather's, but my uncle was important to me. And my uncle was important to my mom. Right? That's my mom's little baby brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my mom and my aunt's baby brother. My grandfather's only son. And he met, for whatever his various decisions in life, there's other facets, and I love my uncle, and I care about my uncle, and there's a lot of things that my uncle did for me, some spots in my life when I needed it, that he came through, and some of those was, he even shared with me that were things that my father did for him at different times, and he always wanted to make sure we was okay. My uncle, when my father passed, used to come pick me and my brother up and then, take us just, you go be with your uncle. I don't know if they still do that in the year 2021, right? Where somebody just come get you and you're like, what are we doing? I don't know. Come on, get in the car, boy. And then take you go do some stuff. It'd be like you running errands. You know what I'm saying? You stop, you got to go in the store. You got to go in there, you run in the bar, grab something. You know what I mean? You don't know what they're doing, but they taking you with them. And all of that loss is really tough to deal with. But loss is a part of life. So in any event, I'll save some other reflections on that for another time. But in this first leg of this moment, I want to share, if you're having grief, if you're experiencing sort of what has happened this year, what's happened in your family's life. If you've lost family due to COVID or other things, like I said, in my situation, I not necessarily. My grandfather actually, did have COVID at the end, of my understanding. But I always felt like his process, losing his son unexpectedly, I felt like it was too much, and so. We'll come back to that another time. But, I love my folks. And I think it's really important to make space as we close the year, right? Whatever you close a window, that you make some space, man, for how you may be grieving, right? What things you may have lost, what things may be, something that won't be able to be attained or had again, and be okay and figure out what you need to do to find some balance and basic, and a foundation to keep moving forward. So that's the piece on that note. So the other side of the coin, as I move forward, is I want to speak about gratitude. Now, gratitude is really, I tie these two things together because something that helps me to process, and then something I think I learned really young, losing my father young, was that, find a way to see what's happening in your world that is actually positive. And I wanted to do some, or not, positive might be the wrong word, but gratitude is to me is about the thankfulness and appreciation for the stuff that's happening in your life as it unfolds, right? And despite what this pandemic has been, a lot of things I have gratitude, I'm saying, I'm thankful for. So in this next part of this, I'm gonna share a little bit of that. Gratitude. In this last year and a half, it's a couple things that I want to highlight that I'm, finding a lot of, thankfulness and appreciation for. One has been opportunity. When you move through the world the way that I do, within our value system that I operate in, and you especially in these times that we've had where there's, a continuation of the systemic structural violence that Black people experience, and others too, but I'm speaking for myself right now. You experience the inequities, you find a way to build a world for yourself within a situation that isn't necessarily optimized for your positive outcomes. And then you try to find the right, balance, right? The right footing of, man, how much do I maybe enjoy? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like for me that, we moved into a home with my partner's, parents, to make a situation that, in terms of our living that, quite frankly, my children could be closer to their grandparents. We could also be closer to them, on a day-to-day basis, as opposed to living separate. Professionally within the work that I do, in terms of what I get paid to do for a living. I moved from some work that I'm very proud of and people that I really care about, and I'm so thankful for my time working with them, to do some new work, right? That gives me an opportunity to have a different impact and sit in a different place, in this state, and in this community. And, and part of me, the pathway to getting to that opportunity, right? And so one of the things I'm going to be glad to express some gratitude for is opportunity. Is how the work that I've done to be prepared for that opportunity, right? Luck is opportunity meets opportunity meets preparation, something like that. I think that's the phrase people say, right? So sometimes in life, what we've prepared ourselves for, does point to, what options and outcomes and opportunities to do things, right? Now, and not in no mystical, magical way. Like I thought about it real hard, and so then it happened. But no, like that, I did the action steps. And took the risks when I needed to take the risks, had the conversations when I needed to have the conversations, to see it with the work that I am doing, that opportunity was there, right? So that was one thing, but then also that I was prepared to be someone that could be trusted to take that role that people would look to and go, yeah, man, I think you could do this. So, but there is something in this, Mike, that might touch back to the first half of this meditation, in terms of something my grandfather always sort of expressed to me was he gave me the opportunity to be my own person, right? And kind of encouraged me, at least in his way as I saw it, to take advantage of opportunities that you had. So if you got a chance to go to school, man, go to school. Right? If you got a chance to go to college, go to college. If that job sounds like it's something that you want to try, go do it. Right? Don't mess it up. Don't blow it. Don't not do the thing. Right? As I told you said at his service, I never saw my grandfather be cruel to anyone. Right? And but he ain't take no stuff. And the other side of that attitude, that perspective also was like, well, go do something with your life, man. Don't be futzing around with silly stuff, and not saying you gotta find love, so to speak, but don't be chasing girls and doing all sorts of things that they seem personally gratifying, but they may not be what really gets you where you're going. He always called me his engineer. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's another story. So I'm very, thankful, to the professional opportunity that, I've been able to step into in this year. Another piece I'm grateful, I'm very, very dealing with gratitude and joy is the brotherhood of my good brother Majestic and my other brothers who you may have heard on this podcast from time to time. But, the value of relationships, I think, for a lot of us may have come to term in the last 24 months, like how important it is, like how meaningful, like having played even more informal relationships, right? Where, because everybody don't have no, like I said, big family loops and and men especially, it's well documented, have trouble making friends after a certain age. And so some of those at a glance relationships if the person had like a local bar that was their spot, you know what I mean, where they would go, maybe even if they didn't drink, maybe they just get there and had wings and club soda, right? But there was an importance in their life around being able to go to that place and be in the company of people who they felt seen by. And for many people, those things have been disrupted, right? You know, folks ain't spent, you know, that maybe they took for granted the regular, you know, if it was every third Sunday a month, you know what I'm saying, they had dinner at people's house, you know, at the one, you know, grandparent or whatever. And then you can't do that, right? You was maybe in used to the idea you could just pop up on this person or that person, and something really creating a real barrier to that makes you go, damn, it really matters that I got these people in my life, or that I can reach out to them. And, you know, I tell people, there's a lot of people, fair amount of people I tell personally, like, yo, you can call me if you ever just need to call. They don't always take me up on that. You know, I think they know I'm sincere, you know, and I'm working to do better, because there's a fair amount of people that I got to do a better job of reaching out to them. But I'm very, you know, appreciative, you know what I'm saying? I have great gratitude for the brotherhood and the friendship that I have, the connections that I have with people that are part of my life from different spectrums, you know what I'm saying? I got different spheres. I got mad spheres, you know what I'm saying? I'm real tuned into my spheres. I know how tuned in you are to your spheres. But you should take some time and maybe write it down, you know, get a little scrap of paper. And think, yeah, this is my one. I got this group of friends. I got these group of partners. Because, you know, in trying times, you know, maybe it's a text thread, you know, maybe it's a meetup thing, whatever. Maybe I'll do some kind of golf or something, one of them sports. But that stuff really, I think people realizing how important that was. And I still stand by what I said as part of the energy of people. People need to be together. It is not, there's a sub layer, I think, of our human experience that sometimes just needs that I'm in the room with you chilling for it to be real. And Zooms and the Google Meets and the Teams and the FaceTiming and the IG Live, all this stuff is cool. But sometimes you just need to sit in the room with the people that you care about and just be there with them. So I encourage you, as it's safe and reasonable, and you have the means to do so, make sure you do more of that in the coming year. You know, however you measure it. Next thing I want to share some gratitude, just this family, my physical family. You know what I mean? My both of my kids, you know, have shown me parts of their character and what they have got from us, right? But also what they have chosen for themselves that has just really impressed me. And, you know, as I like to say, my own system of measurement as a parent so far, looks like we did a pretty good job. You know what I'm saying? You know, as a parent, you know, depending on how you came up and how you see things, you may spend a lot of time worrying about what kind of people your kids are and or what they're going to do with their life. And that may manifest itself in like, they got to go to college, or they got to go do this, they got to go do that. And all of that stuff is important. There's lots of things that are important to me. One of the most important things for me is how my kids treat people. Right? Like they can choose. Their life is their own. Their decisions ultimately and the choices they make in life will be things that they got to live with. But I won't abide you being in a way that you sure as hell ain't get that from me. I without saying something to you, right? Like I didn't treat you that way. You haven't seen me or your Eni treat people like that. So talk to me when I see it, right? Like, why are you doing that? But you know, I've just been impressed with them and a level of kindness, but also just some personal initiative. You know what I'm saying? You know, sometimes you got a teenager and he just stepped out of being a teenager not a couple weeks ago, but when your kids age, you know, other parts of who they are come out, and you know, we sometimes frame it as this, like, you know, they lose the control and they're da-da-da. Well, they're learning how to control for them and not necessarily just be beholden to you. An important part, I think, the process of life is the transference, right? Of the elders, you know, transferring certain parts of stuff maybe they held the wheel on to others because they've been holding the wheel for a long time. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm as a middle-aged, African-American man, middle-aged black man, it's a lot of stuff, it's really our job to get to put your hands on the wheel. Like, if you, and I'm going to just say this, if you a man in your 40s and can't nobody count on you for nothing, work on that. I know, life circumstances, realities, things have happened that may have put your arc off, and that's cool. Ain't nobody mad at, the past is the past. But be aware that, if you over 40, every once in a while somebody shouldn't have to tell you to go, oh man, let me go run and grab that from the store for you. You know what I mean? Or let me offer, even if you ain't good at it, say, well, I ain't good at this, but maybe I can find one of my partners that know about this and they can help out, right? Do what you can. You know what I mean? That's a reasonable expectation of a man of a certain age. And so I'm real proud of that. Real grateful, very, very happy, very, having the life I live with my partner. We've been together over 2 decades, and I don't really get into that world here just because of certain stuff. I feel like it's not necessarily always my story to tell in a sense, or share in a sense. So I try to be real sensitive about talking about me and her, but I love her, and so there's that. And the closing thing I want to share some gratitude about is community. For most of us, where I live here in Oregon, there's not a whole lot of black people in every square inch, right? But there's a lot more black people than you think. But the particular area of the region that we live in, most of my time here, my ability to do community work, whether that's just showing up or that's organizing, being a part of people that are organizing events or activities or doing things for folks, have been, more broad and regional and very overall Portland centric, not, my kind of corner and pocket, of where we stay. And some of that was just the logistics. Some of that was the gravitational sort of pool where you might have the most black people and in some ways the most need, or the strong or the louder voices, right? Where people are like, hey man, we need some help with this, brother. You can come through, or can you add on? Can you help? So you find yourself, pulled to those places. But, we've been able to do some community gatherings and in tune and in tone with where I stated earlier. We did 6 events through the summer last year, just inviting community out to be together, in the public space, occupying public space, being present, and showing that, wherever, where you home is where you make home. You know what I mean? Especially, home may be something else for others, but for me, home is where you make it. And, some of the lessons learned that I'm definitely going to build on for next year is that as much as people want to, like, oh man, what are we going to have them do? What kind of activities? If you get some food, some music, some sunshade, a couple things, board games with cards, some dominoes, a lot of people just want to come be together. And then especially in this place like this, there's, as they say, to me, there's often a remedy in just committing to the idea of being in community, right? Not going to like, I'm going to go and we're going to get the community together and then we're going to have a long conversation about Tulsa, you know what I'm saying? About how we're going to move and circulate the black dollar. I mean, you can, if that's where your conversation goes, but allow people just to come and be present and institute the reality of this is a place that you are safe here. You are with your people. You are with those folks that care for you. And other people are welcome. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody that came out wasn't necessarily, what we do, reaching out to target, black community, but, folks that are connected or plugged in, whether that be by, product of having, mixed race children or, my, the cousin, I'm friends of this person. So, just see that's my man. So I wanted to come through, or she brought me with her because, it seemed like it was going to be a nice community event, be with some good people, right? Like you really got to understand the value of making space for people to come together, And I think it's going to be the defining reality of those who do well in the next decade is those who learn how to come together and build some community that is supportive, protective, is warming, and is enriching, right? I think the most powerful thing that we can do if you really want to change the minds of some of the people who, quite frankly, they ain't talking new noise. They're talking, it's the same old record, right? But one, for our own protection and well-being and to keep our sense of self, you come together. And then the other side, you know what I'm saying? Like you say, to tell the truth, shame the devil. Somebody say you are unhealthy, you are a product of, some sort of malfeasance and terribleness. Man, come see how we get down. Come see how we treat each other. Come see how we kick it. Right? And then they'll be like, oh man, the kids be like, man, I wish I could go over there and kick it with them. You tell them, the kids like, hey man, you can go kick it. Don't be bashful. But in any event, I think, the community work in 2022 is really going to be something at the forefront, man. I want to make more space to get some folks together. I want to do, one of the things I wanted to make in my world when I got I made this professional transition, and was having some space to do some people work with young men, and grown men too, because grown men need some place to be as well, and make some community, what I'm saying, in that particular aspect. So I'm looking forward to doing some more, and then creatively with this, I tend to do more pieces like I'm doing today. Gonna do what I do, the traditional Ask Your Oldhead interview and kind of profile in a new way. Me and Majestic will continue to be good brothers and continue to bring the good brother sessions, to you that are listening, and for you to share. And just stay focused, stay positive, be grateful, express some gratitude for what's going well in your life. So for that, man, 2021 is a Rizzy wrap, let me know we'll shout out to Roy Wood Jr. with the what's our best phrase for the deuce, because we definitely, I think I'm on board with 20, from here forward, this is the deuce. So get loose in the deuce, drink your juice in the deuce. Think about some rhymes, man. We need some catchphrases so we can make this year great. In any event, I appreciate you. Thank you for listening. Peace. Thank you for listening to Justice Rajee. I appreciate you for tuning into the podcast. And as I stated, things have been stating. Things are in flux and change, but I really appreciate all those that listen. And as this continues forward, this will remain the feed where you find it. The names of what we call it will change or won't change. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to keep on talking and keep on trying to do what I'm doing. And I want you to do the rate, find where we do this. Subscribe, rate, share it with a friend. Most important thing you can do, as always, you can search Justice Rajee on Patreon, become a patron, you put some paper on it. You can also, if you just want to do a one-time deal, I got a Cash App, same name, search that bad boy up, man, drop a C note on your mans, or a Sawbuck, or, or one of them Jacksons, whatever the case may be, man. I appreciate you, and thank you for listening. Peace.